After independence, Dessalines ordered the unthinkable. Was it revenge or survival? In January 1804, Haiti became the first free black republic in the world. After more than a decade of brutal warfare, enslavement, betrayal, and unimaginable sacrifice, the revolution had finally triumphed. Jean-Jacques Dessalines stood before the Haitian people as the founding father of a new nation. But freedom wasn't the end of the story. It was the beginning of one of the most controversial chapters in modern history, the 1804 massacre of the remaining French settlers in Haiti. Thousands were killed, families wiped out, no trials, no mercy, just blood. So what made Dessalines, the liberator, order such violence? Was it an act of brutal revenge, or a strategic move for the survival of the world's first black republic? To answer that, we have to go back not just to 1804, but to the centuries that came before. For hundreds of years, the colony of Saint-Domingue, now Haiti, was one of the most profitable pieces of land on earth. It enriched France with its sugar, coffee, and cotton, but it did so on the backs of enslaved Africans who were worked to death in unimaginable conditions. Over 500,000 people lived as property, tortured, raped, starved, and murdered for profit. And when they resisted, they were whipped, dismembered, or burned alive. The French masters didn't just exploit, they dehumanized. So when the Haitian Revolution erupted in 1791, it wasn't just a political rebellion, it was an uprising against centuries of cruelty. The revolutionaries weren't fighting for power, they were fighting to be seen as human. And when they won, it wasn't just a victory, it was a miracle. But miracles don't come without consequences. In the months following Haiti's declaration of independence, Dessalines faced a nation on the edge. The economy was wrecked, the population traumatized. French soldiers had been expelled, but thousands of white settlers remained. Plantation owners, slave drivers, businessmen, families of colonizers. And while some had claimed to be neutral during the revolution, most had benefited from slavery. Dessalines believed their presence was a threat. He didn't see neutrality, he saw potential collaborators. He feared that France would return, and the remaining whites would become spies, saboteurs, or even re-enslave the population if given the chance. After all, history had shown that colonial powers rarely gave up easily. So in early 1804, Dessalines made his decision. He ordered the systematic execution of nearly every white French person remaining in the country. Town by town, region by region, the purge began. Reports estimate that between 3,000 and 5,000 people were killed. Men, women, children, anyone connected to the former regime. There were few exceptions. Polish soldiers who had defected to the Haitian side during the revolution were spared, as were some German settlers who had not participated in the slave trade. Dessalines didn't hide the massacre. In fact, he declared it a necessary act. In his own words, "We have avenged our ancestors. Justice has been done." He believed that true freedom could not coexist with the presence of former slaveholders and colonizers. To him, leaving them alive was leaving the door open for another invasion, another betrayal, another genocide. But the world didn't see it that way. Overnight, Haiti went from being a symbol of resistance to a cautionary tale. European powers were horrified not because they cared about justice, but because they feared the spread of rebellion. The massacre was used to justify isolating Haiti, cutting it off from trade, denying its recognition as a legitimate nation. France and the United States pointed to the killings as proof that black people couldn't govern, that freedom in black hands meant chaos and bloodshed. But ask yourself, who had the blood on their hands first? Was it Dessalines, or the men who had run sugar plantations where slaves were worked to death in 7 years or less? Was it the Haitian generals or the colonizers who had whipped pregnant women until their backs tore open? Was it the revolutionaries or the empires that built their wealth by enslaving millions? The 1804 massacre was not a spontaneous riot. It was calculated. And while it horrifies many today, it must be understood in the context of a people trying to prevent their own re-enslavement. Dessalines had witnessed what the French did in Guadeloupe. After initially abolishing slavery, they returned and re-enslaved the population, executing those who resisted. He had watched Napoleon lie, stall, and betray peace deals repeatedly. He had seen Toussaint Louverture captured under false pretenses. He knew what happened when black leaders trusted European promises. To Dessalines, the only way to ensure Haiti's survival was to eliminate the threat completely. It was not revenge. It was a preemptive strike, a brutal form of national defense. Still, not all Haitians agreed. Some of his fellow generals, especially Alexandre Pétion and Henri Christophe, were uneasy about the executions. Others feared it would isolate Haiti permanently, and they were right. The massacre deepened the divide within the country. Just 2 years later, Dessalines would be assassinated, ironically, by the very people who had once followed him into battle. His policy of absolute independence, his refusal to bow to foreign pressure, and his willingness to shed blood for freedom made him a target not just for Europe, but for Haitian elites who preferred diplomacy over Dessalines' fire. And yet, to this day, the massacre remains a turning point in Haitian identity. Some see it as a stain, others see it as the final act of decolonization. The truth lies in the complexity. Was it morally right? That depends on your definition of morality under oppression. Was it necessary? That depends on whether you believe Haiti could have survived with thousands of former oppressors still on its soil. Was it revenge? Possibly. Was it self-defense? To Dessalines and many others, absolutely. The problem isn't that the massacre is remembered. The problem is that the centuries of atrocities that led up to it are conveniently forgotten. The plantation horrors, the rape, the mutilation, the slavery that killed millions in silence. Those crimes are never called massacres. They're labeled economic history. But when the oppressed rise up and strike back, suddenly it's called barbaric. History isn't fair. It's written by survivors and often by the winners. Haiti won its freedom but lost its narrative. And the 1804 massacre became a scar used to shame the world's first black republic, while the crimes of Europe were washed away. But here's what they don't teach in school. Haiti didn't start the violence. Haiti ended it. Dessalines made sure of that. If this story made you pause, made you question, or gave you a perspective you've never heard, hit that like button so more people can learn the truth buried under centuries of silence. Subscribe to the channel because we are digging up history they tried to erase one truth at a time. And comment 1804 for life if you believe Haiti had the right to protect itself by any means necessary. Tomorrow we move forward in time. In Day 10, we explore the life of one of Haiti's most fascinating and misunderstood leaders, Henri Christophe. After the revolution, he didn't just lead, he built a kingdom, a black monarchy in the Caribbean, palaces, castles, a royal court. Was he a genius, a tyrant, or both? Don't miss how Christophe built a kingdom in Haiti. History isn't over. We're just getting started.